Hey, welcome all you pod listeners out there. We're really happy to have you here on this Covet Week. That's what I was just thinking about. I was looking at Amazon. This is Black Friday week starting tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And we get to go and covet. We get to elevate idols up above Jesus. Like we were talking here about this tree. But,
we love our stuff.
That was an interesting thing. So this is a thing that I go through. I have covet issues for things, but I can't just come up with them. They have to develop in me. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I get a request for like a Christmas list from the kids or something.
Yep.
I have a hard time coming up with anything.
Right.
Isn't that the weirdest thing?
Yeah.
Where like sometimes I'll go on Amazon and I'll be like, oh, I'd like that. I'd like that. And then when my wife is like, what would you like for Christmas? I'm like, I don't know. But I do know this year what I want. I want some new running shoes.
New running shoes? What kind of running shoes would you get?
I've worn mine down.
Yeah.
Well, I have Hoka's.
He had to slip that in there.
We've talked about this. But I know
so you like to run on mattresses.
I do. Yeah. We've discussed that before. I know you got the zeros. Yeah. I honestly don't know how you do it with the zeros.
Well, no. Well, so there's other parts of zeros that are. So there's three elements to your zeros, right? The thinness where you actually feel the ground underneath you, which as my age increases, that's more and more difficult for a run thing. Yeah. But also you have the zero drop, and then you have the wide toe box. Those to me are the most important.
What do you mean the zero drop?
Zero drop between the heel and forefoot. So there's no heel built up, which is actually counterproductive to your back and posture and such.
The heel buildup is counterproductive?
Yeah, we're not supposed to be like that.
Oh, okay.
Our heel's supposed to be on the ground.
I see.
And so it causes all parts. When I went over to barefoot shoes, my back, a lot of problems went away for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't have any of those problems yet, but it sounds like I could subject myself to some problems if I don't convert over. But who knows?
That's all right.
I can be my own real life case study.
Yeah. When you're done running with your Hokas, you can take a nap on them.
There we go. Yeah. Be kind of gross and sweaty. Yeah. I might contract some athlete's foot on my face, but that's
So I'll tell you a covet, and then you can tell me one of yours.
Yeah.
So when this kind of popped up again, I really like radios.
Radios,
yeah,
okay.
I like a good radio.
Yeah,
and
like
so
FM, AM.
I feel like
FM and then shortwave
radio.
Single sideband.
Okay,
specifically. Which I don't really even know what to do with. Yep. I just like the idea of a nice digital tuner and a good speaker on there. Some dials on the side.
Yeah. Does it make you feel nostalgic? Do you think that's why you like it? Does it bring you back to a different time?
The Texsun right now is what I'm looking for. TECSUN for those who are listening.
Do you think that you would take joy in like restoring an old one to new form, or is it more just collecting?
It's not even collecting now. I don't have a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
I almost think that acquiring something would be like a hobby.
Yeah.
You listen to things from around the world.
Oh, okay.
It's just starting to appeal to me more now than before. But right now, my entertainment is typically just on the phone, when watching a YouTube video or something like that. So I wonder if it would be helpful. I feel like I'm going through and trying to justify it to myself by saying that.
Well, once in a while, we'll have like a cyber attack or something like that happen.
You can all come to me. And
AT&T or Verizon will go down or whatever it might be. And I feel like in those moments, you kind of want a radio.
Yeah, you would.
Or if there's like a big, apocalyptic event, zombies are attacking, and for whatever reason, we don't get cell service. I think it would be a good fallback. Yeah.
Next step then after that would be the kind of the ham radio, where you actually speak to other people, different places.
Okay, so you're just talking about tuning
into different countries, states, all that sort of thing. But the next step would be how to handle the zombie apocalypse and find out where the oasis is that I should go to.
I think I already know where it is.
Oh, man.
Roughly in the Otis Field area. If Keenan's listening, he'll understand. I gave too much away.
Yeah, you did.
Isaac, delete that.
They're going to have all these people roaming through Otis Field.
I do kind of wonder if there was a zombie outbreak type of thing, how I'd react in that moment. Of course, you can kind of idealize and think about what you'd do, but you kind of also wonder, like, what would I actually do in the moment? Like, would I be more lone wolf, like survivalist, or would I try to like pack together with a bigger group of people and try to like, you know, defend a bigger group, you know.
Yeah, I got to go find a farmer, and I got to find some kind of a blacksmith would be good too. You have to start from scratch.
I feel like your best bet would to be immediately try to get to and secure down a big box store like a Walmart, because that's going to give you your longest, like it's going to give you your longest on-ramp to survival, because it's got food, supplies, gardening equipment, gardening supplies, so you could like garden on the roof.
Right.
And immediately, as long as you could secure the building.
The security would be the issue, because everybody would be drawn to that place.
It's like the cornucopia in Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Like it's right there off the start, but then if everyone's running towards it, people are going to try to take each other out in the process.
But then you get into your point would be that then if they're not turned yet, then you'd want a partner anyway.
Yeah. Then you'd have to run to the sports area first to get your shotguns before people are coming. And tell me, Graham, would you
just slide that in there?
Would you kill a man if he was coming into your Walmart?
Well, I was actually thinking of that like a few months ago. Like if there was a zombie apocalypse, like would I strive to stay alive? And if so, why would I try so hard? Because I feel like usually with a lot of these zombie apocalypse movies, what you see is like in the process of survival, people kind of lose their soul in the process, and they make all of these ethically compromising decisions as they
become their own idol.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, well, what are you surviving for at that point? Like you've lost your soul in the process. Right. And if I know, and in my faith, I'm very assured of this, I'm just going to go straight to go see Jesus after I die. I'm kind of like, okay, how hard am I trying here?
So you would just fold it in and abandon your children? No, that's what you're saying.
I think I would. I think I would try pretty hard.
Yeah.
I think if anything, that's the biggest incentive for me would be like to try to keep my family safe.
Yep.
Would you have a hard time putting down a zombie? I mean, they're
a zombie,
soulless,
probably not.
Right?
Yeah, but it would be more. It would be more ethically tough if there was like a bandit or something that came to my house. That would be more challenging. You know, because bandits will happen in zombie. That's part of the plot.
Bandits happen. That's like a new T-shirt.
Bandits happen. We don't even have zombies, and bandits happen.
It's true.
Just terrible.
There would just be more.
The world's crazy. Yeah, I had that conversation in the car with Cal this morning because he's been asking a ton of questions around.
Does he watch a lot of zombie movies?
No, definitely not. But he asks a lot of questions around like heaven and Jesus and like the gospel, which is really, really great. And Jordan actually caught him like giving the gospel presentation to his cousin, which was really funny to hear a 5-year-old like articulate.
Go Cal. That's awesome.
Yeah. But he just like, it's from his curiosity. Like he just asks all the questions like in the car ride from home to school.
Yeah.
It is just no dead air. He is just talking the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is really fun. But he was asking around like, do bad guys go to heaven? Can they come back? Like, can you share Jesus with a bad guy and then he becomes a good guy and then he'll go to heaven? Those types of things. And we talked about that for a lot of the ride. But then at the end, he just says, he goes, I just can't wait to go to heaven. I want to be with Jesus. And then, which was super sweet, but also you're like, I don't want to create an infatuation with death in my kid. So I just said, well, that's really exciting, buddy, but we also have to stay on earth because we have work to do. We have to share Jesus with other people so that they can go to heaven too. And he goes, okay. I was like, all right, this is the best I can do. I'm just trying my best, but you just like start to wonder like where their brain's at, how much he can comprehend. So I just got to trust the Holy Spirit to...
It's also simple for them at that age too, where like they don't kind of overthink it or overcomplicate it. But as he'll get older, he'll start to kind of, he'll start to kind of see more complexities of life probably outside of that.
Yeah.
Which
is kind of a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
That's why we need faith like a child.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because I see that sometimes. I was just watching a YouTuber this morning with my daughters in the car, and it's like an age appropriate YouTuber for them. And the thing is with these YouTubers, they're like constantly coming up with new content to do. And so they're like traveling around to all the 50 states, and they're kind of going to see different sites in the States and kind of giving their review, and it's fun. And they're doing a fundraiser in the process, which is nice. But I just thought to myself, it's like, isn't it an interesting world we live in where it seems like people are just like grasping for things to do almost just to like fill in time. Like what's going to stimulate my interest? Like what should I do? And I feel like these YouTubers are like the epitome of that, where it's like, what's the next content stream or like the thing I can put out that's going to take people's attention and entertain them.
Yeah.
And in the process, it almost like kind of, to me, can start to like point out the meaninglessness of life where they're just kind of on this like treadmill, this rat race of like endless, you know, things that they're just trying to do to just fill time.
Yeah. Which is exactly actually tied into the point you were making right before we started, Kurt, and started down that path, but about like the Amazon wish list and then not even knowing, like when you got asked for your Christmas list this year, which I feel the exact same way. I was asked and I was struggling to like come up with some things. And I'm like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And we do the same thing with stuff. It's like, well, we just need stuff to like keep our attention and keep us entertained.
Right.
And then you like run out of whatever, you know? So you put things on a Christmas list. So I'm like, I'm not even really into this, but like, it's something, you know, it's just kind of like the material version of what is definitely content wise happening.
Exactly. So what's the antidote to that, Kurt? Like, how do we get out of that?
I want to get rid of, first of all, the requests for what do you want.
Oh,
I feel like it should just be some kind of spontaneous thing. That's almost, well, that's low impact, doesn't have to spend much.
Yeah.
But give me something clever.
Oh, so you want them to just like take a shot in the dark?
Why I don't need my order. I'll go on Amazon and get something if I need it.
Right.
So my guess is that you probably get the same things told to you that I would be told to me, which is you're probably a particular person.
Yeah, she doesn't. So insight.
Yeah.
My life.
Yes. That's what the people are after. That's what people want to know.
They don't want that. So Lisa and I, we don't buy each other Christmas gifts because she has too hard of a time finding something for me.
Right.
And which is fine. And it's a pressure thing that we don't have to worry about, and we're good with it. Yeah. So it's mostly just kids and grandkids.
Yep. Because I feel the same way. I'm like, I don't want to make a list. But then I would be very difficult to buy for it. If they like, I try to relieve them of the feeling like they need to, but that doesn't happen. Yeah. Like family, they're like, no, we're going to get you gifts. So you need to tell us what you want.
Yeah. So
it's almost better if you just say something that you'd want that you know you wouldn't be disappointed by. Something basic like new socks or like.
Seems perfunctory, but see right there, you're right. If you got me socks, I'd say, well,
why'd you waste money on these socks?
What kind of socks did you get me?
Yeah, exactly.
How high do they go up? What percentage of merino wool are they? They better be merino wool.
Right. So just lay that out and just say, that's what I want. And just make it super specific and go, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, no harm done.
Kind of wasting money.
No, not necessarily. I mean, if
they're going to wear your bad socks, Graham.
Well, you know they're going to. Well, hold on. If you told me exactly what kind of socks you want, then I could go buy them for you. I knew you wouldn't return them, and then I wouldn't waste mone because I'm going to try to buy you a gift anyway. Because everyone feels obligated to get a gift on Christmas.
It just seems the more we get precise on this, we keep losing the purpose.
Right.
Because we literally exchange Amazon like links.
Yeah.
Which just seems like a money exchange.
Yeah, it is.
So what should we? This is all the more reason that I think people should go to the Christmas fair on Saturday.
Yeah,
because you're gonna find a gift there that is just the most unique gift. You know, it's gonna be like an ornament made out of beeswax or chocolate.
But if somebody got me an ornament made out of beeswax, I would be like, "Man, you wasted $20 on this because I don't want it."
So have both of you?
You don't know that though. It could be like
I do know.
It might awaken something in you, Jake, that you didn't know was there.
It will not.
You might go, "Whoa! I didn't realize I love beeswax ornaments. It
reminds me of going to Hobby Lobby. You ever been to Hobby Lobby?
I haven't yet, but my daughters love Hobby Lobby.
My quest there is to find one item him I'm interested in. I can't.
Never?
No. Maybe like if I found a Sharpie or something.
Oh, I feel like they might have a radio there.
No. Oh, no. I got nothing. It's almost as bad as going into Michael's over here.
Yes, I would. Yeah.
Maybe like an X-Acto knife or something. That's the only thing that you could find, but it's horrible.
I feel like those places, when you're going through the checkout aisle, that's where you find all the weird gadgets and gizmos that you're like actually, that's kind of cool.
They're the cheapest pile, though.
It's like an AUX plug-in for a headset that like turns into two headsets. It's like a dual pair. You're like, I didn't know I needed that, but that's pretty cool. Most phones don't even have that AUX set anymore.
So Cal and I watched the other night the movie The Lorax. Have you ever seen The Lorax?
Yeah.
Have
the
you ever
newer
seen
one?
It? No? Yeah, the newer one.
Yeah. And then there's the book, right?
Right. It's a Dr. Seuss book, but it's like a social commentary on people's like really how people just are doing exactly what we're talking about. Like they're so easily convinced that they need something, and then that's leveraged over them for profit. And there's the thing with like the trees. That's like the big thing is that the trees are chopped down, and then somebody makes profit off that, and then somebody makes profit off selling air. But in it, like it was the same thing. They were just like selling them on something. Like the song is like, everyone needs a thneed, which is like the scarf thing. It's a really cool something that everyone needs is the song. And it's like so dumb but it's like, that's literally our society.
Right.
Where everything's being sold and you're like, well, you don't know you needed this, but you do need it.
Now you need it. Yeah.
And so we like get a thing to fill a function that we weren't needing to fulfill the function until we got the thing. Then you feel like you need to use it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, we're just so sad sometimes.
It is sad. Yeah. The antidote is Jesus, though. We need the Holy Spirit. We need him to give us contentment.
So same
streams
thing
of living water.
Same thing in that, though. All the accoutrement that in the church we add to him. Then I'll go back another Dr. Seuss thing. I just always think about the Who's in Whoville, that they were having joy even when the Grinch stole everything.
Right.
Yeah, that's the point.
And that they probably had even more then because it's just total clarity. And I'm not even talking about Christmas. I'm just talking about worship as well when we go there, because there are so many, and you'll be able to talk about this in greater detail coming soon. But
what a teaser!
There are so many preferences that people have that it's you can't satisfy it, and then you want to kind of hone down as to why you're really here. And when Jesus says you're to worship in spirit and truth,
that's right.
All of those things go away, but we sometimes use all those accoutrements. I like to be French.
That's a cool term. Yeah.
To attract people to the event where that sounds kind of like a hardo here, where Jesus should be enough for us to come together.
Yep.
He should be.
This is the argument, or maybe the other side of that argument that I've always heard that I don't necessarily disagree with, but I wonder where the crossover is, and you'll know what I mean when I describe it. So the argument that I've always heard is, well, somebody who doesn't know Jesus isn't going to come to church to hear about Jesus because of their love for Jesus, because they don't know him. Right. So they would come for the other accoutrement.
So how are you going to bring him in,
if you will? And people would come.
Kurt's about to just like
people would
just eviscerate you right now.
I'm really having a hard time right now.
Yeah. So I'm probably more aligned with what you'd say anyway. But so that's always been the argument is well that they would come in for a program, or they'd come in for the music, or they'd come in for this. The problem is that we allow those things. The crossover is that at a certain point they've heard and experienced Jesus, and then that should be enough. But what happens is we've taught them to love the accoutrement, and they don't stop.
Right. So what seemed good all of a sudden becomes bad.
It becomes bad and a barrier. So what do you think is the way forward?
Well, so to me, the biggest attraction, and Jesus told us what it is, they will know that you're my disciples by how you love one another.
Come on.
And so that should be the thing, and it should be enough, and no one comes to the Son unless the Father draws them as well. And we are to go out, and the gospel is power.
Yep.
So I think all of those would take care of it. It's so interesting. Let me go a little bit on a different way, because I've been convicted by this. So I don't know. We did talk about Jackie Pullinger last time. I think a little bit, something like that. So a gal came from Hong Kong and started she's a missionary, and she was in the walled city, 6 acres, 100,000 people. Nuts. But so I was listening to a piece on her dealing with addiction, and she's giving you the prescription for how to do that with somebody. And so she's talking to this church in Winnipeg, I think. This is just like a year or two ago, and how you need to get 10 people, and you need to have a house, and you bring that person into the house, and then you have somebody that's with them all the time, with them even going into the bathroom. And then somebody else is there to answer the phone and do other things, because that other person can't leave that person for those 10 days.
Yep.
And then there's another person who will go out and do errands and such. And then that's 24/7. You got to have at least 3 people there.
Okay.
So then you want to have shifts that go over. And as I'm hearing that, I'm thinking, we're trying to look at different ways to cut the head off the snake of all these things, addiction, the homelessness, and
so it's almost like a rehab center that she kind of like
that we all do as part of the church,
right? Yeah,
and so right, but what we do is we default to the rehab center because they're all around us, and so we get to just our work typically is then just to pay cash in some form that gets people into a place where other people are paid to be there and do that. And honestly, with the number of people that have to go through that, it's probably the most efficient way. But it was just striking me how hard that would be.
Oh, yeah.
to do that.
How would you like work and all that stuff too? Is that what I wonder? If you were doing that,
yeah,
there's just so many logistical things.
Yeah, there are.
Who would fund that?
Well, that's the thing,
right?
If you had that many people, other people would be you'd
have to pool your resources.
You take your 10 days of vacation, and you do. But so it's asking sacrifice.
Oh yeah,
and so So as I'm listening to that, she even made a joke that about all the people who left while she was talking about that. Thing,
right.
That what it just makes you reflective about how much you're in for loving somebody.
Yeah. And what does that look like? Going back to what you were saying though, around the kind of, what are we attracting people to? Are we trying to attract them with like shining lights and things of this world to pull them into church and then kind of like smuggle Jesus in after that? So it's like, oh, I'm entertained. I feel like I'm getting a good vibe from these people. And now, boop, there's Jesus. And then we're kind of hoping that that's going to sustain someone and that they're going to come back for Jesus rather than the lights and the show and all that stuff. And I do think there's something to that. But I think for a lot of people, when they're coming to church and they haven't come to church before, I think there's probably 2 reasons they would go. One is because they noticed a change in somebody else that invited them, and they go, I think I want that change in my life because they have a peace I don't have or a joy I don't have.
Yep.
And I think the other reason would be that they're experiencing a pain on an existential level. Maybe someone died. Maybe they had like a divorce, or like their heart was broken in a relationship. Maybe they're experiencing their own mortality or whatever it might be. And so they're kind of experiencing this kind of like this pain that's making them question life itself. And they're asking these bigger questions, and they're going, okay, maybe I'll give Jesus a chance. Maybe God is the answer to that. And so I think a lot of times in the church, if we're not careful, we'll meet people in this, like, they're actually coming in with these deep questions and deep longings. And they're like, man, I hope I run into the power of God when I come to church, because that's what I want. I want to look like Kurt. I want to look like, Jake or whatever. Or they're thinking, I hope God has some kind of answer to this brokenness that I'm experiencing. And then they walk into church and they experience like a a message that's like, here's 3 tips to like, just having a better, more joy-filled life, or like it's kind of more self-help. It's not actually addressing their spiritual problem and that God has the power to save them and that he wants this abundant living relationship with them every single day. And so for me, I think all of the stuff that we have on Sundays is not inherently bad. It's just like extra. It's on top of what's necessary. But I heard Isaiah was talking in that clip that we watched together for a little bit. Yeah. And he shared during the last big crisis in America on 9/11, tons of people came to the church. And there was this big influx and wave of people that showed up to church on Sunday. And many of them, they started to fizzle out after like 6 weeks or so afterwards. And they did some surveys, and I don't know what surveys he was researching, but this is what he shared. And they asked people like, why did you leave? Why did you stop attending church after 6 weeks? And many of them were like, it didn't do anything for me. I didn't find what I was looking for there. Yeah. I didn't find the answers that I was looking for. And I think for us, it's like that's on us, because if that's the case, if people are leaving because of that, we're holding back the full power of the gospel that is unto salvation for them.
I don't. To the other point that you don't think the things are bad that we have here. I would say that they're inanimate. It's our dependency on them that's the problem.
Sure.
Because it also then can kind of bring us into a place like I was talking about with Jackie Pullinger, that, we don't have to deal with this because we have something else to deal with it. So people will come in and we don't have to give the raw power, love of the gospel because we've got all these other things that are going on around that should satisfy. And so we start to lean on that a bit. So it's not the things, it's how we present them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think, I have a lot of thoughts actually that was like really started my brain moving. One thought on that is that, that's actually, I think, where the church loses its purpose a little bit. Is we've heard a ton about like the seeker church, or that's like a huge movement that happened probably in our childhood all the way up through, where churches became the primary discipler of new Christians. So like, the goal was not to share Jesus with people, it was to get them to church so that the pastor could share Jesus with people. Yeah. And so the purpose of the church became to evangelize. And so then what happens is everything becomes wrapped up in that goal. And so that's, I think, where a lot of even what I mentioned about like what can get people in, what can draw people in who don't love Jesus in, that's where that became to like really ramp up. Which kind of brought us to what modern Christianity looks like. When in reality, the goal of the church is just to equip and empower the saints for the works of service. And so if we viewed church as our primary goal is to equip and empower the believers who come to celebrate and be together on Sunday, and then throughout the week, obviously, through groups.
One more addition in 1 Corinthians 14, we find the word edify like 4 times.
Yeah.
So that's in there.
Edify,
as well.
empower, and equip. Yeah. And so if the church was all about triple E and kept after that and made that the main thing, I believe that the seekers would be taken care of just fine. But we always fear that they wouldn't. So we lower the bar back down to, well, what's going to attract a new person who doesn't know Jesus? When in reality, if we help our people fall in love with Jesus more and edify them and equip them and empower them, then they will do the evangelizing. And then the people who know Jesus will become to be more equipped. And then the power like fully is able to, when that, I think that's the season we'll experience the most practicing Christians.
Right.
So part of the low bar, just thinking about this, is because we've chatted a little bit about this, how these open doors to demonization. There's not enough people that really know what those are and understand how they're engaging in them, and they're unaware. But it's also then there's this balance of how to show people everything that's hindering and sin that's entangling, that's keeping them, putting this wall up between them and Jesus.
Yeah.
And so there's what was sort of happening at the same time with the attractional model church was we were also hesitant to say, hey, if you continue to do these things that you're doing, you're not going to find that power that you were speaking of, that made them just kind of wander off because it didn't satisfy. And we need to recognize that gets in the way. So that whole message has to be there, which is basically denying yourself.
Yeah.
You're saying, I'm going to adopt everything that Jesus is about and then move aside the things I'm about.
Yeah.
As you were saying that too, Jake, it's just kind of making me wonder, like, what would that look like? Because I think there's probably a decent amount of people who might listen to that and then say, yes, that's exactly right. We should go back to like how we used to do church when, I don't know, a decade or two ago when I went to church, and it's all about get in the word, do the expository, preaching, have a Sunday school that's super theologically like dense and kind of like parses out like, oh, this is what's those words in the Revelation I can't even think of them right now. Pre-trib, post-trib. I don't know why that couldn't come to me. There you go. That's how relevant it is. But I think there's a lot of people who, they listen to that and then they kind of think, well, we should go back to the smorgasbord of Bible teaching and dense theology and all that. But I think what you're talking about is completely different in the sense of really breaking it into that we're called to equip the saints, spur one another onto righteousness and good deeds, that it's not just kind of getting more knowledge, because I think what we all know is that's just as convenient as the seeker model in a lot of ways, where it's like, oh yeah, the pastor will evangelize on my behalf. Yeah. The other model is, well, we're just going to ask the pastor to equip us, but what that looks like is just inundate us with tons of Bible knowledge, but it doesn't actually help the person necessarily become more like Jesus in their day-to-day life, and have the power or the confidence to actually talk to Jesus talk about Jesus with their neighbor or whatever it might look like.
Yeah, I think it's got to look more like the Christian evangelism that we talk all the time about on this, where as somebody comes in on a Sunday, it should be stories of how Jesus is changing lives, whether it's a story from the teaching pastor about how Jesus is changing something in him, an example of what that might look like, an invitation to how that can come about through abiding, a practice, like how that's tangible, how do we do that, and then encouragement to go out and continue to do that. And I think that, to your point about we should just get back to Bible knowledge, I think that's almost like a scratch that's equally as addictive, like you had said, the knowledge accumulation, where you hear a lot of people say like, well, I need a church that goes deeper. You hear that a lot, a lot. And I think I do have empathy, because sometimes I know what they mean. And if I were to go to a church that was solely a seeker-centric church, that was all attractional model for the person doesn't know Jesus, in the same way that they might mean, I might feel similarly, like there's the mature Christians not being fed.
Right.
The difference though is that oftentimes what that person means is just, well, we need more intricate, clever theology that like I can feel like I've gained a nugget of knowledge that makes me feel better about my Christendom. And it's like, well, that's so empty. It's so pointless.
Right. And sometimes it's like in the paradigm of of what a person deems as useful within their Christian walk. And so if like my Christian walk is solely based around the church, then like I'm going to want to listen to a YouTube video, a podcast, or a pastor and a sermon that's giving me like new little nuggets of like how to look at a passage, or give me a Greek nugget, or give me a historical, perspective that kind of adds another layer to the passage, so that I can go into like a Bible study and I can kind of bring that into the Bible study. And then from a prideful standpoint, and I'll just say it from my perspective, like in the past, I might have taken something like that and been like, oh, I'm going to bring that into like a Bible study or with some of my Christian friends, and I'm going to drop that nugget in there. And they're all going to be like, whoa, that's cool. But it's just like one knowledge transfer to another where you're just regurgitating it rather than necessarily actually having to wrestle with the text and going like, man, how is God speaking to me a fresh word from this text that's actually like cutting between my heart and soul and bone and marrow and all that, and actually making me go, how is this actually going to change me and change my life and change the way I approach him, change the way I treat other people, all that stuff that I think we know that we want, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not seen as deep, right? That's seen as kind of like, oh, that's just application.
Yeah.
It's like, that's pretty important. What do you think people, like, I hear that a lot, Kurt. Like when you hear the word, people want more depth, what do you think they mean by that? Because I
don't think they know what they mean by that.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
if you could just assume, if you were
so we've been bathing a little bit in quotes from a gentleman named Andrew Murray, who wrote in the late 1800s, and he does nothing but convict me.
Yeah.
So when I read it, and I have to shut it down after a paragraph and then go look into my word and say, this is what you want from me. Our whole purpose for being created is to be one with Jesus. So anything that distracts from that is a waste of our time and an idol.
Like even a Christmas tree?
It can become that for somebody. Yeah. Everything could become that for somebody.
Yeah.
That's a callback joke, everyone. I was just joking with Kurt about that earlier.
The verse, and I just keep looking at it, in 5:44, and then Andrew Murray brought it up as well in the thing I was reading, that he says, Jesus says to the Pharisee folks, how can you believe when you accept glory from one another but don't seek the glory from the one and only God? So he's equating our self-glorification with actual faith and belief. That if we're not seeking that from God, we essentially don't believe.
Yep.
Man.
What was the quote Isaiah said? We've traded our love for, was it conviction for love of content?
Well, he said he felt like the Holy Spirit gave him the word, like we've traded the Great Commission
for
great content.
For great content, that's what it was.
Yeah. That we focus so much on content of in our walk with God specifically that we don't really bring it into. Yeah. And I might even take it further and say we traded the greatest command for great content, right? And the greatest commandment is to love God with our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love our neighbor as ourselves.
Right.
Because I believe if you actually are following the greatest command, that's the upstream to the Great Commission.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Because then
you have the knowledge that they need the most. Yeah.
100%.
You have love.
And you'll just be living it out wherever you go. I think sometimes the Great Commission is a nice macro scale where it kind of informs some of our doctrine, where we're like, okay, cool, like we should be going out, we should teach them to obey, we should baptize them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. We've got to make sure we get the Trinity in there. And it's like all like good doctrinal stamps and maybe some nice like markers that you're on the right path. But I think if you wake up every day and you just go, how can I love God with my heart, soul, mind, and strength? And then how can I love the people around me like Jesus loves me?
Yeah.
I think you would, before you know it, people would be like, you're following the Great Commission.
Yeah.
And you might not even know what that is. And you go, really? And they're like, yeah, you're just like living that out. And it's just because you're keeping it to exactly what Jesus commanded us to do.
I think on a provocative end, if I could, I think the Great Commission has been so highlighted by evangelicalism because it's something to do. And what you're talking about, loving, it's different. It's hard to do it. And I've even been thinking about, because another piece of the Great Commission is the prayer for the Lord of the harvest to send laborers out in the harvest field. And I've just been looking at that lately. To give you a comparison, back when I was working at Conica in the day, we were working nights, and it was $4 an hour. And it was so hard to get employees that essentially, if you fogged a mirror, we would hire you. And so sometimes in the churches, what we do is we want to get people so involved in service that we don't care if they're doing commandment 1 and 2.
Right.
We just want to send them out. But a laborer, in my mind, would be someone who knows what they're going to do when they go out there.
Right.
And that's who Jesus is. We're praying for him to send those people out who are practicing commandment 1 and 2 and 3, like love one another, in the church. So those 3 things need to be going on before you're really effective at doing the other things. Like you said, it's almost like a falling off the log thing. If you're doing that loving, you are doing the other piece.
Exactly.
Well, it's almost like the intellectual version of what Jackie was talking about with the rehabilitation for an addict. Is she's talking about a personal approach to helping somebody, where most of the time we create an organizational version of that because it's more efficient and it relieves us of the duty, right, to do it. Whereas exactly Isaiah's quote, we've traded the Great Commandment or the Great Commission for great content. We've outsourced the role of sharing the Great Commission, the love, the gospel, and with one another, because it's more efficient for it to be broad streamed or broadcast, and then it relieves us of the duty. And I think it's the same thing. We give it to others so we don't have to have personal ownership, and but with it we give away its real power and effectiveness, I think, sometimes.
Come on. I'm trying to think of how I could bring this full circle. That's where my mind was going. It's like, how do we bring this to the Christmas consumerism? Maybe get a little zombie apocalypse nugget in there. Avoid the zombie apocalypse of Christmas materialism as everyone gets into the haze of trying to buy things on Black Friday. And they're trying to eat each other up just to get the next thing. And obey the grace command. It's the
so
Lord.
Funny. The challenge is, the challenge.
It was a shot. You don't make all the threes you shoot. Sorry.
This first world issue on Christmas is finding garbage bags big enough to hold the debris that wrapped all these gifts in. I mean, it's just amazing. You have to have it orchestrated and a system for it.
And that's why we're asking people not to wrap up your Christmas tree gifts for the root cellar.
Yes.
Just bring the gift. It's a safety issue.
Yes. Well, it's I think with anything in Christianity, but in the church, as we become aware of the detriment of like going after these things, what happens is the pendulum swings and we begin to demonize the thing instead of the addiction, right? So we would say, people would get on like a soapbox about a Christmas tree or or buying too many gifts, and they think the solution is, well, don't put up a Christmas tree and that'll solve it, or don't buy gifts this year for kids who need that, or like, don't buy. We're only like feeding into the system if we buy kids presents from the root cellar or whatever. And it's like, no, you're trying to get rid of the symptom, but you're not like healing the addiction. The addiction is the problem. Like,
well, even addiction isn't the problem. There's something that caused the addiction.
Right. That's true. Yeah. The absence.
Can I also just make an advocation for the real St. Nicholas for a second? Because that dude.
Are you going to give me a nugget?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to advocate for him for a second, because I feel like, one, Jesus gets left out of Christmas, but the true St. Nicholas has been distorted into like this weird mytho Santa figure, right? Who's comes down your chimney.
How does he do that?
The real St. Nicholas, my understanding, was a dude that when he read James, saw that it says true religion is taking care of orphans and widows. and that he on Christmas would go around and he would bring presents to people who were in need, who actually needed it, right? Mm-hmm. And he would bring them money or gifts or things like that. And I think for us, like, we've kind of, even with the church conversation, where sometimes you can make church like insulary and make this all about us as Christians and how does it meet my itches and needs that I want in the church. Sometimes I think we can make Christmas that way as well, where it's all about our needs and our materialism, and we give to those who would give back to us instead of just like giving to those who can't give us anything in return. Yeah. Like blessing the orphans and the widows. And I'm thankful we actually have a lot of people in our church family who have that heart. But I think the more we can press into that, I think is better, because that's what Jesus did for us. Yeah. He gave to people who couldn't give back. And
so this kind of feeds into a little word that I got last night then.
Cool.
We can kind of...
Yeah, then we can land the plane.
So the kind of parable Jesus tells about a guy doesn't go out and build a tower until he counts the cost to see if he can actually finish building it. So it was kind of how what we frequently do is we have a good idea and we go and we start executing it. And he's kind of saying, well, first of all, our faith has to be completely in him. Otherwise, we're just not going to be able to sustain it. Right. So it happens all the time in a lot of different things. We'll say some stat comes up and says food insecurity is rampant in Maine. Oh, we have an idea. Well, let's then feed a bunch of people. So we go all the way to that before we even figure out, well, what does it mean to have food insecurity? How many people are actually needing that? What other things are going on that are handling that? All that. So you have it in that realm, but then we have it in the Jesus realm too. We have a good idea to go help somebody, and then we go and we do it without any relationship with him. And so what we're doing isn't abiding. Yeah. And so the question comes: Are we bearing fruit if we haven't abided? So you can go do a good thing outside of Jesus. Is that bearing fruit?
Not true fruit. Not fruit that'll last.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 13. Without love, clanging gong. Gong. That's an interesting word. Well, Kurt, that's a great way to.
You want to go?
That's a great way to close this out. Well, everybody, thanks for listening in
do it too.
This week, and pray that you just keep Jesus at the forefront of your sights and your gaze as we go into this Christmas season. And yeah, we'll see you around. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.
And if you want to gather the whole family together and go through all the podcasts for the last year, it would be a good marathon.
That'd be a great way to hang out by the fireside. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.